Welcome back, you guys. Tonight we're going to be working on a Ruger P95. I'm very excited about this build. This is one of those deals where I believe there's a ton of people out there looking to have something done to these because they've been on the market for such a long time, with them being a service weapon in some locations of the States, and just kind of what would be a long run of production from Ruger themselves. So it comes out being one of those guns that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of love in comparison to the other firearms that are out on the market. Local shop reached out to me and said, hey, what do you think? Think you could do something with it? What are our options? And I said, yeah, let me come down, take a look at it. Let's just kind of discuss it. So I'm going to go over briefly what we discussed so you have a better understanding of exactly what you're viewing as it unfolds. So what we're going to first be doing is on the top front section, we're going to run some serrations, and we're going to kind of stay away from this little nub up here. So as the front sight gets mounted in here, there's a little nub right there you guys can see. We don't want to hit that. It'll look kind of odd. And we also want to make sure we stay away from where the barrel locks up. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it very similar to what we do with the shield. We're going to end up having like a kind of a cut that goes this way, another one, and another one. Of course, this is obviously drawn out of proportion. These will all be probably from this zone to this zone, maybe even a little higher, might even be up into that zone. So, but it gives you the idea of exactly what we're doing. So we're going to end up running another one over here, something like that. And we're going to be able to see a little bit of barrel through there. We're going to be careful not to take up too much material, and we're just going to come up with a really successful pattern on the top. I'm pretty excited about that. Now on the side, what we're going to do is we're going to end up doing a cut that's going to look like this. Okay, so we're going to have a step down, something similar to that, and then we're going to end up having a wall in the center. So this will end up being a hole here. This will be a hole here, and then in the center here we'll end up having like a wall, right? Because you guys have seen that before. The thing that we have to worry about is on these is that we have a very large, it's hard to see here, maybe we can see it better, a little bit better this way. I'm going to move the light a little closer. Got a couple screws that might fall off the light base, but that's okay. Okay, so with that being said, let's discuss this a little better. So we have this really big channel down inside of here, and if you look, it's hard to see, but if you look, you're going to see that we start here, okay? And then if you look, we're going to be up into here. So see where I've made my pattern? We got to be real careful here. So I want to go ahead and shave that down, okay? And then we want to go ahead and cut a hole. What we don't want to do is we don't want to really go up into this zone up here. So up here there's a different level, I guess maybe a different step, I should say that. So the side is flat, and then it kind of does this real micro roll here till we get to the top. We don't really want to cut into that zone. I don't think it's going to be a very successful pattern if we do. I think it's going to look a little bit odd. We're going to do our best with what we can. We may change it as we go. Sometimes we do that, you know. We learn as we go. So sometimes we do something, we decide, well, maybe we ought to just make some adjustments while it's on the CNC. And you still may see that happens throughout this project. But what I'm thinking is we're going to do a shave down here. We're going to do a window, and a bar in the center. We'll be able to see a little bit of barrel. The difficulty that we have here is right here is where that crease is. Okay, so this is the top line, and then this would be the side. And if you look, that means that the window is going to be somewhere in this zone here. We don't want to be too low where we're going to be hitting any of the spring area, which we wouldn't be that low anyhow. But the idea behind it is that we're not going to be in what would be the radius of the barrel. We're actually going to be a little bit lower than that. So this does happen to be a budget build. We do have to we don't have an unlimited amount of money. The local shop that reached out to me said, you know, hey, we want to spend this amount. What do you think we can do? I'm really excited about doing this because I think that there's a lot of potential here for this particular weapon because, like I said, there's a lot of them out on the market. But on the same hand, we need to be very careful on what we do and how we do it, just because there isn't a lot of background knowledge on this particular slide overall, or at least for me, I don't have the experience on this particular slide. So guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get you over to the Tormach 770. We're going to go ahead and cut that top section. More than likely, we'll probably do a sandblast. We'll probably bring it back. We'll probably do a recap on just that. We will not be doing any coloring. The local shop will be doing that, but I'm going to give this some more thought down through the side here, and we're going to, in between doing the top and the side, we're going to see if that still seems to be a successful plan, or if I have changed my mind. I'll have a little bit of time to think about it as the other one's cutting. Also, once the other one cuts and we start to see how low we've come on the side, that'll give us another idea of exactly if we're making the correct choice on the left and right side as well. So guys, let's get over to the Tormach. Let's go ahead and get this cut. Let's bring it back. All right, guys, I wanted to show you the top work before we move on to the sides. I'm really happy with the way this came out. We definitely have some hand work to do here. We've got some deburring to do. You can still see there's some stuff. I basically just took it right off the CNC, ran it in the sandblaster, washed it up, brought it back. I just wanted to show it to you a little bit better before we move on to the sides so we can kind of see how all that blends together. Definitely gonna be able to see some nice barrel through there. Very pleased with the way that that came out. Let's talk about the sides a little bit more before we get back over to the Tormach and we run them. My level of being concerned has definitely gone up with this project. It's one of those things that you look at something and you say, oh, this is not too bad. Then all of a sudden you get into it and you start saying, let's slow down a little bit here. Let's take this one step at a time. Let's not make any quick decisions. And I think that that's kind of where I'm at with it now. A couple of the things that we didn't talk about and I didn't notice was that this whole entire slide has curvature to it, okay? See if we can get it better this way. So basically what that means is we're wider here than we are here, okay? So obviously that's gonna pose somewhat of a problem when you're cutting down through the side, because that will then make this side appear as though it's higher than this side, even though technically we've gone all the way through the slide. Maybe that's a little hard to describe there, the way that that is, and we'll see how it comes out in the end. But basically if you were to put this in the vise like this and make this run true left to right, what would happen is this section would be running true, but this would start tapering down. So with that being the case, is as you cut down into here, it's gonna look as though this is deeper than this side, because technically this is lower on your Z-plane, if that kind of makes sense maybe to some of you. So we're gonna have to overcome that. Now the other thing to look at is back here we have this little ridge, right? And this little ridge that's on both sides is stepped out really deep here, or I guess it has a really big hook, I should say, on it here. And as we get towards the front, there's almost non-existent. So we start getting back into, if we are gonna run a pattern, if we are gonna go up into this top section at all, how is that gonna play into effect with that? There just happens to be a lot of obstacles with this particular build that, one, we didn't discuss before, and two, I guess I really just didn't notice that when I was working on the drawings. Now that I've been working on the drawings and getting that cam section of it up and running, you know, your depths, your speeds, your feeds, you know, I'm starting to realize that we may have some issues with the overall design pattern and how that's going to play out on the slide itself, because this is a very challenging slide, which might be one of the reasons why we haven't seen a lot of other people do anything with this slide. You guys know me, I've worked on some challenging things in the past with some Berettas and some other things, some CZ stuff. So I'm definitely no shy guy to the challenge. But what I can say is that standing back for a minute and giving it more thought before jumping into it is kind of one of those measure twice, cut once kind of, you know, sayings. And that's kind of where we are now, is that this is more of a reflection of work of what needs to be performed before we just jump in and perform, if that kind of makes sense. So I think I'm there with how to get this done. I'm not 100% sure the results that we're going to receive on that, due to the nature of the slide being tapered and because we have this lip here. So we're going to do our best. We're going to see how that comes out, and that's all we can do. So with that being said, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to get back over the Tormach 770. Let's go ahead and run both the sides. Obviously, we're going to sandblast it. We're going to bring it back. We're going to discuss those hardships along the way and how we kind of overcame them. All right, guys, it seems as though everywhere I turn, I run into somewhat of a difficult situation and or a difficult problem. So let's just discuss it a little bit more in greater detail again before we get cutting. This just seems to be one of those never-ending issues that we just continuously keep coming up. It's something new every couple of minutes, and I just want to take you guys through that. So one of the things that we're going to notice here is that on this side, and I'm going to be working kind of in between the slide and the light, so I apologize, but on this side you're going to notice that we have this front piece where we have the front sight goes in, okay? So then I moved it back, so we're not pressing on this because obviously this is higher, right? So then what we do is we start getting into an issue where we end up having a gap between here. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys this the best. There's basically a gap. You can see my finger almost down in here. See that? So the back half of this slide, which is pretty much back here, is not even being pressed at all on here. We're only being clamped on the front section, which is probably okay since we're going to be cutting up in here. Obviously, the best way to do this would be to make some kind of a jig. That would be the correct way, but when you start getting into one-off work, I don't know how many more P95s I'm going to be doing. I don't want to spend hours making a jig that will appropriately hold this particular slide when I may not have any more of these to do. And not only not have more of these to do, it also comes up being one of those that's somewhat of a budget build. We're not doing a ton of work and there's not a whole lot of money associated with it. So time is money when we start talking about those kind of things. So guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the best we can. We're gonna cut nice and slow. We're gonna have to change our speeds, our feeds. We're gonna dial that down a little bit, a little less torque, a little less speed, a little less cut per pass. But then at the end of the day, I think we're going to achieve what we're after. I think we're still going to get that end result we want. We're definitely still going to be able to get that quality and that satisfaction that we're trying to achieve. So let's get to it. All right, guys, let's take a look and see exactly how this came out. I went ahead and put this through the sandblast booth. Want to knock all that outside finish off, give you the overall visual of what we're doing with it. So the idea here is that the customer is going to be doing the Cerakoting. I'm not doing that, so unfortunately, this is kind of the stopping point. Let's talk a little bit about what we did and those challenges that we had on the sides. Obviously, we've already talked about the top. Very, very challenging with holding it in the vise. We didn't actually have a good grip on it. Also a challenge with the way that the side is tapered. Also the way that this little knob or this little roll is thicker and thinner. So it ended up being one of those things that everywhere we turned, we ended up running into something that was challenging. Now, let me explain this in greater detail now that we actually have a hole in the slide. So when I went ahead and did this step down, the idea was if I would have gone really deep with this step down would have started cutting up into this turn here, or this curve, this radius that we have, okay? So the idea is to do a step down, clean that up a little bit here, give it a little bit more detail, not go into the radius, but still stay on this depth. Now that was challenging because this side is actually thicker than this side. So you've got to make sure that your depth fits this side and not so much this side. As we discussed earlier, if we would have put this in here straight, this would have appeared to have been a deeper cut on this step down than this side because this is actually technically higher than this because it's rolled down. So very challenging overall. A lot of things to take into consideration when you're cutting on a slide like this. You've got to think about thicknesses and curves and step downs and just making sure it's done right. You know, take a minute, sit down, relax, think it through before you make those final decisions because we can't put metal back onto the slide. So overall, I'm very pleased with the way it came out. You can see that we did the same thing here. We did not hit that radius on this side. We stayed up into where the flat zone still is. Went ahead and added those dual windows on each side. Gave it that little bit of extra meat on each side. Something that just really kind of decoratively make it look just a little bit nicer, kind of extend it out so we don't just have two pockets. That step down really gives it that visual that we've actually taken a large portion of the slide and worked on it, not just the small windows. So definitely cool there. Guys, I would highly recommend you go back and watch a lot of our older content. We've got a lot of other stuff that have been one-off guns. We've done a lot of the XD stuff. We've done a lot of the PX4 stuff. We happen to have worked on a lot of things that were very challenging slides that we don't typically and normally work on. So if you're interested in looking at some of the non-Glock, non-M&P stuff, go back, search. There's a lot of cool content in there. Good stuff. I'm sure you're going to enjoy most of that. If you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Let other people know that it's good content. Let them be able to find us quickly and efficiently on the top of the search inside of YouTube. So by having those likes turned up, that allows people to find us just a little bit easier than for them to hunt and peck around to try to find good content. So definitely help me out there on that one. And guys, what you're gonna find is that since I'm not doing the Cerakote work on this slide, that's probably gonna get posted over onto our Instagram page. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get this back to the customer. They're gonna do their thing. I'm usually gonna get a picture back, and then I'm gonna post it on the Instagram page, so you guys will get to see it all put back together with that barrel back in it. You're gonna kind of get to see it as a final product because I'm not completing it as a final product. This is kind of the end of the road here. So I would highly encourage you to follow us over on Instagram. If you don't know how to get to our Instagram, you're maybe just not even sure how to get to our Facebook page, go to our webpage, NCEngravers.com. It's at the bottom of the video. It's also in the video description, so you can click on it. At the very bottom of our homepage, you don't even have to go into the webpage. The very bottom of the homepage, you're going to see YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Click on those links. They'll bring you directly to those sources. You can subscribe, you can like, and you can follow along right from there. And also, we have a contacts tab inside of our webpage. So feel free to go into the webpage, click on that contacts tab, go ahead and reach out to us. Let us know what your project is. Give us some of your thoughts and opinions on the projects. Maybe something that you want to see, maybe something that you've seen before on a different project. You'd like to see that onto another one, blend some of those patterns together. Definitely a cool opportunity to build something specific to you and specialized for you. So guys, always stay tuned to the channel. We have a lot of new stuff coming out. We have a lot of projects that we're going to be trying to unfold here over just the next couple of weeks. Big stuff, weird stuff, just weird stuff. I mean, honestly, we've got some shotgun work we're going to be doing. We've got some AR work we're going to be doing. We've got a lot of stuff here that we don't typically and normally work on. We're starting to take in some of that oddball stuff that we normally would not have taken in before. So definitely a cool opportunity to see some stuff that you haven't seen and follow through along with the work on stuff that I haven't done before. So definitely a cool opportunity. Guys, you can catch me on the next one. Thanks.